Hey, I want to welcome you to part one of carving a Santa Christmas ornament. This is Mike Simpson wood carving. So I begin a carving with a blank, and I typically will get that blank by taking a pattern and outlining it on a probably about a 3/8 thick piece of wood, and go ahead and cut that out with a jigsaw, which I'm not going to bore you with uh, that process, because pretty much anybody can jigsaw out an ornament blank. Here I'm going to show you the different tools that I use for this wood carving. Certainly use your favorite knife. This one happens to be one I made from a file. This is about a number 10 millimeter 3 sweep Daster brand. Makes a nice shallow cut. All of my tools are pretty much razor sharp. This is a number 5 millimeter V tool or parting tool, and they come in different angles. This one's probably about a 90-degree angle, thereabouts. They come in more acute angles, but this one happens to be probably about a 90-degree. And then this next tool is it's a palm tool, and it's basically the same as that last one, but it's just a lot smaller, and it provides really fine detail. About a 3 millimeter V tool or parting tool. Does the same cut as that last one, just a little bit finer detail. Now we'll take the blank that I just got through showing you, that I outlined all the lines that define, in this case, the Santa, and I'm basically going to just carve all of those pencil marks, or in this case it was actually a marker, which, by the way, I don't recommend using a marker, but I did that simply because with the lighting that I have for this video, it's a little bit difficult to see pencil marks, and so I used a marker to just make it a little more apparent. And take that V tool or parting tool. This one I think was about a 5 millimeter, and I'm going over all of those pencil lines and defining that same thing, just basically drawing on the piece with the V tool, so that all of those lines are defined, but in more of a three-dimensional manner. And so just like you were doing a line drawing, it's like doing a line drawing on the wood, but with a carving tool. Again, this is a V tool or a veiner. There are basically three types of carving tools besides the knife. There's a chisel, which is a flat tool, and you have a gouge, which is very similar to a chisel, but it has just a little bit of a sweep, or cuts kind of rounded, kind of an arc. And then the V tool or the veiner, which you're seeing me use here. And then V tool or parting tool. And then the last thing is a veiner, and it looks very similar to a V tool, but instead of an angle down in the bottom, it's really just a really deep U tool. Oftentimes they're not a very wide tool. They might be 2 millimeters wide, but with a real deep U down in the bottom of that. You see I make a cut up to like the bottom of his beard right there, and then I make a stop cut that removes those little pieces of wood. I'm providing this part of the video in real time. I don't know if I'm sure you noticed when I was doing the layout with a pattern, kind of in high speed, because pretty much anybody, you don't need to see that in slow motion, but I'm providing this part of the video in real time simply because I recall when I was carving, I love to watch carvers and see exactly how they did each part as they carved a carving, because that's really how I learned, was watching people and seeing exactly what their technique was. And then of course, the practice part of it was mimicking what I saw. So I'm providing this in real time rather than at high speed. Um, Actually, when I was learning to carve, I almost would like to have watched something like this in slow motion to see exactly what each motion, what, everything that the carver did, so that I could really pick out the details of how they manipulated the tool, and you know how they worked with it. Now that pretty much finishes up this part of the carving. We're just again, we're just outlining all of those pencil drawings so that on the flat of the carving you see all the details.